Museums are essential to a culture, and they really are the stewards of our collective memories.
I knew that this museum was here, but the effect that it has on me is so emotional to see all this. It's wonderful.
Like in French we say, petit train va loin, small train go far. Well, it's going far right now.
We're always keeping our eyes open for a nice piece. One of my favorite things is detail in the building. Whether it be something you find online or stand in the back room at an auction and see, okay, that's the piece and I know exactly where I want to put it.
Ooh, it looks like the main course has just arrived.
Hello, I'm Tom Murphy. Welcome to Land and Sea. Objects from the past can tell us about being human in today's modern world, and places that house these artifacts remind us of where we come from. But at the heart of gathering and displaying collections are Maritimers who appreciate that the true value of these objects is in their power to connect us to each other. The history of the Canadian railway network evokes nostalgia and pleasure for Guy Laforge.
Hearing a train go by is like music to my ears.
Laforge runs a railway interpretation centre, Du Riel aux Miniatures, in the French-Canadian town of Edmundston, New Brunswick.
Railroad had a lot of history. When you talk about railroad, you'll reach a lot of people. Even if you talk to someone that come from Poland or another place in the world, they all have train, they all have histories, they all have something to share. And it's a good practice to start conversation talking about train. And that's why I'm getting so emotional about it. Sorry.
The creation of Canada's railway network linked the vast country for the first time. Small Canadian towns grew up around the railway lines as transporting people and goods became easier and faster.
Edmundston was the center of activities since 1880 with the transcontinental CP line coming in town.
Edmundston borders Quebec and the United States, so it was strategically situated for rail traffic. Families settled in the area to work in the bustling industry.
There were at least 3 to 4 railroads at the same time. So for a small community there, this was a lot of traffic.
In the 1980s, the trains stopped. Only one line now travels through the town. But the history of what built Edmundston remains alive in the museum. While Laforge curates the Interpretation Centre, it exists because of the people of Edmundston. The collection has over 8,000 historical train artifacts, all of which were donated by community members.
And people says, well, you love train. Here's the pieces. And that's how the collection started. And it grow. And it keep growing, and we don't know where it's going to stop. We don't want that to stop. It's a big party.
Laforge's wife, Geraldine, who is an artist, created the Hall of Fame, which honors those who worked in the railway and who gave to the collection. Laforge's passion is all-encompassing. His house is attached to the museum, and his entire family played a part in creating the center.
Sorry, not a job. It's a family party. We're enjoying what we're doing.
When visitors arrive, they get a guided tour in a replica of a 1900s train shed.
Un petit garçon de 10 ans, il a trouvé une clé comme ça en arrière de chez lui. Il vivait proche d'une traque de train, d'une voie ferrée, exactement.
And we try to have a little bit stories of the exhibit that will catch your eyes, catch your mind also. You'll remember about it. And that's a way to continue the tradition of the workers.
Each year, the exhibit changes. This year, the theme is centered on locks and keys.
It's written down. The number of that key and my name is at the end. I need a signed release to give that key. If you want to put your name on it, I'll give it to you.
And with 8,000 donated pieces, LaForge will have no difficulty changing up the exhibit for many years to come.
Another rare pieces that we have in the collection is this vase. And they used to chew tobacco. And well, after a while it's dark and yucky and you don't want that on the floor, so you need a vase. But this one is a special one. It's designed for vice president or president of company. So not everybody spit in this one.
For every rail enthusiast, nothing compares to a model train. And LaForge's miniature railway layout has it all.
Well, this represents New Brunswick, through my eyes, naturally. Well, as a kid going toward Quebec City, I saw that little tractors it was a real tractor on top of a garage. So the first time I did this layout, I said, well, I need that. That's part of my history. That's me on the layout, 187. Well, younger a bit, smaller a bit, but that's me.
The miniature layout has 150 meters of track and 350 cars. It takes 6 trained operators to run it.
I keep doing the hobby, and I love it because I love construction, and the train relate the buildings together.
Guests of Auriel de Miniature can enjoy the 26-hectare property that his father gifted to him.
When guests are coming here, they want to take part of it and see where that crazy project will go. And it's going far. Like in French we say, petit train va loin, small train go far. Well, it's going far right now, and it's not stopping.
People end their visit with a ride on a train that journeys over 2 kilometers of his land.
I ride more adult than I ride kid. There's something there. People like it. Just by riding on it, and you'll hear the click and clack of the rail joiners, and everybody feels young again.
Guy LaForge and his family have created a special place that gives people access to the past, where everyone feels welcome in the present. But it's LaForge who feels rewarded.
It's teaching me something, how to live, how to share, how to dream, and how to continue.
Coming up on Land and Sea, some collections aren't always what they appear.
It's not a collection of hockey cards, it's not stamps, but it's unusual things. They all fit together in sort of a strange little jigsaw type puzzle.
Every community has a story to share, and these stories can help us connect to each other. Growing up in Prince Edward Island, John Davison spent most of his childhood at his family's amusement park, listening to maritime ghost stories.
My aunt claims to have seen the ghost ship of the Northumberland Strait sailing past her cottage out on the point in Bedeck.
Davison now uses the stories of his childhood in a creative and unusual way. He runs the Haunted Mansion in Kensington, Prince Edward Island.
We're about 5 acres right in the center of town. It's a lovely community. I grew up in Kensington and have been here all my life, mostly.
Davison has gathered the largest haunted collection in the Maritimes, and he placed his haunted artifacts in this English-style Tudor estate.
Help! Please, somebody help me! They won't let me out of here. Help me, please!
All right, Ben, let's get this place opened up.
In the mornings, with help from his son Ben, Davison awakens the spirits or gets the mansion ready for the day's visitors.
Gotta go check and see what's going on in the graveyard. Make sure nobody woke up overnight. Mostly when I'm going through in the morning, I'm just making sure that everything is still working.
What's the little girl?
And don't be afraid of the little girl. I'm sure she wouldn't bite you.
Okay, you go.
Yep, she's working. Perfect. All right, on to the ghost.
Davison bought the mansion and was determined to raise his family in Kensington while also luring his share of visitors to Prince Edward Island.
Watch out for that guy. The idea of a Halloween haunted house came up, and we changed the whole place over into a haunted house. Need a little bit more of type O negative. All right. Hold your light on the bucket. So every morning we have to double check and make sure that we've got enough liquid to last the day. I often like to tell people it's really the town water, but no, we mix our blood special.
The collection may be a bit bizarre, but it's doing the trick. Davison's efforts help bring people to his community.
And we have had great relationships with the town itself, even to the point that they have lent us a hearse, which we have on display here at the mansion.
During the summer season, the Haunted Mansion attracts over 30,000 guests.
So you can identify us if we don't come out?
Yes.
You go first, Steve. You have to go first.
For those who dare to enter, they'll encounter ghostly gags around every corner and special effects without warning.
Welcome. We have been expecting you.
And they discover the tall tale of the history of the three-story mansion.
Somewhere around 1890, a gentleman by the name of Dr. Jack moved here to PEI from London, rode in on the train, settled in this beautiful community of Kensington, and he built this elaborate mansion. He opened it up to the guests as an inn.
Another visitor. Stay a while. Stay forever.
There were some rumors of dark things going on inside the building, but it was never substantiated. It wasn't until we started working in here that we uncovered the sort of the gruesome truth. Hidden up in the walls, we found some bone fragments and things, but I'm sure they had nothing to do with anything untoward at all.
Get your fingers out of the icing, unless you're leaving them there.
But there could be another, more likely story to the mansion's past. Railway lines once crisscrossed Prince Edward Island, bringing supplies to people in every corner of the province. The mansion, just a few hundred meters from Kensington's train station, was once used to store potatoes.
Some people think that it may have been something to do with the train line or the rail line going along behind the building here, and that it may have been connected with a freight shed, but that's just rumor and speculation. I can't really prove that either.
While Davison may not reveal which story is true, he is quick to acknowledge the history of the railway in PEI. A small train ride runs around the mansion on the same route the railway once followed, and where potatoes or Dr. Jack were dropped off many decades ago.
He did have a little blood bank started here in the town. This was back in the days before that sort of thing was popular. Some people say he used it to sort of maintain his youth. I don't know.
Whatever history is believed, families come from around the world to visit this happy, haunted place.
Every time we come to the island, we come to the haunted house. So we loved it.
And it's better here.
After here.
Yeah.
We had to carry both kids around. They were a little scared, but it was fun.
To ensure people continue to be entertained, Davison adds to his haunted collection by attending yearly haunted house conventions.
First one that I went to in Las Vegas, and my wife and I were walking down the aisle, and the lady's sort of waving, "Come on over, check out my booth here." And she says, "Feel these, try this out." And then we're checking it out, and she says, "Yeah, they feel like real severed limbs, don't they?" And I thought, I have no center of reference for this, but yes, I guess they do.
Davison has used his passion for history in a quirky and upbeat way, and in the process, he's managed to attract thousands to his little piece of PEI.
Hey, I want to thank you again. It was awesome. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm definitely bringing some friends back for sure.
I'd like to see something like this continue on for years to come. It brings people into the area, whether my children take it over or somebody else. I just like to see it continue on in some fashion. I guess whether we're here or not, the spirits will live on.
Coming up on Land and Sea, an old schoolhouse that keeps on educating.
And you pull that knife towards you. You draw a knife, and you can shape it. It keeps the wood from moving.
Situated in Liverpool, Nova Scotia, the Rossignol Cultural Centre, known as the Town of Museums, is a place that continues to bring communities together. The Cultural Centre includes 5 galleries and 6 museums, from a collection of outhouses of the world to a museum of North American photographers. These eclectic displays give a nod to cultures from around the world. The collection is amassed by a surprising source, award-winning Nova Scotian photographer Sherman Hines.
He's not just a photographer for us in the community. He's given a lot back to the community.
Hines, still in demand internationally, continues to work around the world, all the while letting his curiosity and passion for the unusual source new themes for the Cultural Centre.
Many people are just blown away with the museum and the artifacts, and how every time you walk by you see something new, and you keep walking by and you see something new again.
Hines bought the school in 2002 and packed it with amazing objects from every corner of the globe. Born in Liverpool, Hines himself was a student in the old schoolhouse. His fascination with Nova Scotia history started decades ago. One exhibit showcases an apothecary collection. The pieces came from a drugstore that survived the 1917 Halifax explosion. Hines purchased the entire collection for everyone to enjoy. In another room in the Cultural Centre, archaeologist Aaron Taylor studies a large collection of stone tools. He's researching settlement patterns of pre-contact societies that lived here before the arrival of Europeans.
We don't have journals and diaries which tell us how people lived. So instead, pre-contact researchers, we rely on oral tradition from the Mi'kmaq, and we rely on landowners, people who have private collections to help us out. So when the curator brought me in here, my jaw dropped, because usually museums, they sort of focus on one area or one aspect, but this museum has something for everyone.
The collection is important to researchers because every individual piece tells a story.
Up here we have a point made out of rhyolite. There are no known quarries of rhyolite in Nova Scotia, so it probably came from New England, which demonstrates that the groups were trading, and just speaks of how rich the cultures here at the time were. It's one thing to read about history in history books, but to actually come down and see things, actual items from the past, I think it really helps connect people to history. You could spend the whole day here. It is absolutely a wonderful, wonderful museum.
Because of work obligations, Hines is only in Liverpool a few times in the summer, but he delights in coming home with artifacts and stories that continue to live here. On one of his travels to England, Hines bought a Victorian dining room equipped with chandeliers and paintings. He placed the collection in the same room where he took English lessons as a boy. Raised in Liverpool, Warren Dobson also attended the school.
This was my junior high school. I went to grade 5 and 6 downstairs in the lower level, and grade 7 and 8 here on this level, on this floor. I know what this is. It's a shaving bench. There's a part missing. There's supposed to be a peg that goes through there. You put your feet on it, and this comes forward when you push on it. And that holds the paddle down. You sit on it like a horse, and you pull that knife towards you. You draw a knife, and you can shape it. It keeps the wood from moving.
As Dobson makes his way around the museum, it evokes fresh memories.
I can remember Christmas concerts that we did there. My first performances on stage were on that stage. And I became a musician and spent many years on stages.
For Dobson, the museum strikes a personal note as he finds pictures of people he grew up with, even his first scout leader.
Clarence Loico was the most amazing man. When I was a Boy Scout, 12 years old, I went to camp with him in Hibernia that the guides meet. There's Tommy Andrew pouring the tea. There's Kenny Beck. These guys I haven't seen for 50 years. It's amazing. What a beautiful display. I have to say, this is my first visit here. I'd heard a lot about Sherman Hines and I knew that this museum was here, but the effect that it has on me is so emotional to see all this. It's wonderful.
Stories of culture and heritage continue to live on through objects that people collect and display. And whether for pleasure or research, collections will always engage and unite us through a common history.